The canary my husband keeps outside the marriage is very good at playing mind games. Every so often, she disappears. Joel dotes on her. Each time, he drops whatever he's doing and searches for her like a madman. Once he finds her, they make up as if nothing happened, even more affectionate than before. Their dramatic game of you run I chase, of pushing and pulling, almost moved me, the legal wife, to tears. The third time Alice disappeared, Joel placed the divorce agreement in front of me. Sign it. You know how Alice is, she's sensitive. I calmly took the agreement and read through it carefully. Don't worry, it's just for show, so Alice can feel secure. I'm not really divorcing you. I nodded, obediently signed my name, and asked him in a pleading tone, when you find her this time, can you come home a little earlier? Joel frowned impatiently. Home, 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 that's all you ever talk about. What? You can't live without me? With that, he took the signed divorce papers and hurried out the door, eager to go claim credit with his little canary. Watching his back disappear beyond the gate, I curled my lips into a faint smile. I'm just afraid you'll come home too early. Chapter 1. After Joel left, I began gathering up my assets. In the 5 years I had been with Joel, this was the first time I had taken stock of my property. The dream was over. It was time to settle everything clearly. I made a list of everything that belonged to me and counted each item one by one. Occasionally, I looked up and saw peach blossoms drifting down outside the window. I stood and walked into the backyard. I called the butler and told him to find someone to uproot every peach tree in the garden. The butler was puzzled. Madam, you've taken care of these peach trees for years. Why remove them? His words pulled me into memory. In our first year of marriage, I had curled up in Joel's arms watching 3 lives, 3 worlds, 10 miles of peach blossoms. After finishing it, he said wistfully that it would be wonderful if we had our own peach grove. It would be a paradise belonging only to the 2 of us. The very next day, I cleared out the backyard and planted peach trees. 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. The trees had grown tall, and the blossoms had bloomed. But the man who once longed for a peach forest had long since lost that longing. Looking at the patchy, torn-up ground, I sighed and returned to the room to continue packing. I picked up the matching jade pendants. As I stared at them, my eyes began to sting and my heart ached. Back then, Joel's grandfather had approached me, hoping I would honor the childhood engagement arranged by our elders and marry Joel. But I was afraid Joel didn't like me, so I took out the half-heart-shaped jade pendant I had treasured and asked grandfather to give it to Joel. I hoped he would decide according to his own heart. If the jade broke, then so be it, follow the heart. After receiving it, Joel reunited the 2 halves of the jade pendant that had been split at the time of our engagement and returned it to me. Matching jade pendants bound hearts forever. That night, I clutched the pendant tightly against my chest, too excited to sleep. No one knew I had loved Joel for many years. Now my wish had finally come true. I placed the pendant on the desk and continued packing. Suddenly, I saw the property deed Joel had given me on our wedding day. Staring at the bright red booklet, I fell into thought. On our wedding day, Joel handed me the deed. When I opened it, I saw that only my name was listed. I looked at him in confusion. Joel gazed at me with eyes full of indulgence. Miriam, keep the deed safe. From now on, this is your home. You're no longer an orphan without parents. I was deeply moved. I swore I would love him for a lifetime and be the most virtuous wife. Women are emotional, especially someone like me, an orphan who lost both parents. If someone treated me just a little kindly, I would want to give him my whole life. But the happiness lasted only 1 year before Joel began to grow impatient with me. Miriam, do you have to wait for me at the door? Miriam, I told you not to stay by my side when I'm working. You distract me. Miriam, can you stop following me every day? You're so annoying. Nothing in this world lasts, beauty fades. Blossoms fall. I only wanted to stay close to the person I loved. What was wrong with that? He used to enjoy being glued to me. It wasn't until I noticed Alice's existence that I finally understood. When a man changes his heart, your kindness becomes a burden, and everything you do for him becomes suffocating. I piled the deed, the jade pendant, the clothes and jewelry he had given me, all of it, into the study. Looking at the empty room, I clapped my hands with a strange sense of accomplishment. Alice would be moving in soon. To avoid disgusting her, I gathered the custom wedding dress and wedding photos and burned them in the backyard. After finishing everything, I carefully inspected the villa once more. I made sure there was not a single trace left of my existence. Finally, it was done. I let out a long breath. Stepping outside, I looked at the now empty villa, dazed for a moment. The sweetness, sorrow, quarrels, and compromises of these past years felt like a dream. Now that the dream had ended, it was time to leave. The butler, Mario, looked at me with pity. Since I came to this house, aside from grandfather, only Mario had treated me kindly. Madam, perhaps wait a little longer. The young master does love you. He just doesn't realize it. Maybe when he comes back. I smiled and gently interrupted him. There's no need. Mario, thank you for taking care of me all these years. Goodbye. With that, I picked up my suitcase and walked toward the gate. 5 years. It was time to say goodbye to everything in the past. Chapter 2. Before I could reach the door, Mario called out to me urgently. Madam, the young master is on the phone. He wants you to answer personally. I told you the young master loves you. See? He's calling to apologize. Looking at the phone in Mario's hand, my heart was a tangled mess. Joel and I hadn't spoken on the phone in nearly a year. Whenever I called him, it always went unanswered. So when I decided to leave, I left behind the phone he had once given me. It was a pair of matching phones we bought when we got married. With matching couple numbers, I wouldn't be needing it anymore. Madam, hurry and answer, Mario urged anxiously. I bit my lower lip and took the phone. Hello, Miriam. Why are you dragging it out just to answer a call? What on earth are you doing? I stayed silent, waiting for him to continue. I've already found Alice. I'll stay here with her for a while before coming back. She's suffered a lot this time. Make some bird's nest soup for her to nourish herself. And Alice likes the sunrise-facing room. Clear out our bedroom. She'll be staying there when she comes back. Also, Alice is sensitive. She can't take any emotional shock. Put away the wedding photos and our pictures together. Don't let her see them. For a full 10 minutes, everything Joel said revolved around Alice. At the very end, he added, even though I can't legally marry Alice, I must give her a wedding. Help me prepare it. 10 years of knowing each other. 4 years of marriage. In that moment, the last trace of hope I had for Joel quietly dissolved. Mario, you heard everything he said, right? I'll trouble you with it. I handed the phone back to Mario. Then I turned and walked out of the villa, without a single trace of reluctance. Chapter 3. Joel found Alice in Suzhou and Hangzhou. After finding her, he didn't bring her back immediately. First, Alice loved having fun and wanted to stay a few more days. Second, he had already entrusted all the wedding preparations to me, so he felt completely at ease. So he stayed, focusing on accompanying Alice. Joel, you really know how to live, touring Suzhou and Hangzhou with your new girl while Miriam helps you prepare the wedding. After hanging up the phone, his friend gave him a thumbs up. Someone asked curiously, won't Miriam get angry? Before Joel could answer, another friend chimed in. Our Joel knows how to handle his wife. Sister-in-law is absolutely devoted to him. Forget preparing a wedding. If you asked her to serve you and the new bride on your wedding night, she wouldn't complain a single word. Joel, am I right? Joel raised his brow proudly. Right. He had every reason to be confident. I had always been sensible, obedient. My eyes and heart filled only with him, even when he said he wanted to give Alice a proper status. I didn't resist. I even told him to come home early. In fact, that day he got angry precisely because I didn't resist. He thought I loved him so deeply, cared so much about him, I should have been jealous to the point of madness. Why endure it silently? Joel liked using this method to confirm my love for him over and over again. He always said I was too quiet, so quiet that he couldn't feel my love. So he was unwilling to accept it. He wanted proof that no matter how outrageous he became, I would still love him unconditionally. As for Alice, he liked her liveliness, her youth, even her temper, but it was only liking. Joel knew Alice was just for fun, while I was the one who would walk with him for the rest of his life. Just as Joel was lost in his thoughts, his phone rang. It was the butler. Joel frowned and answered. What is it? The butler's voice carried hesitation. Young master, Is it convenient for you to speak right now? Joel's brows furrowed. Just say it. Madam has left. Left? Where did she go? I don't know. Madam took all her belongings with her. Joel abruptly stood up. Alice, who had been leaning against him, was startled and then let out an ill-timed laugh. Joel looked at her in confusion. I didn't expect Miriam to copy me and start disappearing too. But she's your legally wedded wife. Unlike me, no name, no status. As she spoke, Alice's eyes turned red. It's all my fault. I've been willful and spoiled, making sister unhappy. Joel, let's hurry back to Beijing. What if sister is really angry? Then it would truly be my sin. Hearing Alice's words, Joel sat back down. A cold smile tugged at his lips as he spoke into the phone. She's an orphan. Where could she possibly go without me? Don't worry about her. Don't look for her. I want to see how many days she can survive out there. The butler sighed. Just as he was about to say something, Joel had already hung up. Putting down his phone, Joel lifted Alice into his arms and told his friends, arrange another week of activities. Let's have a good time. I want to see how long she can keep up this act. Chapter 4. After returning to the small apartment I had bought myself, I put down my luggage. The moment I lay on the bed, my phone rang. I answered immediately. Only the people closest to me knew this number. I held the phone to my ear and heard my aunt's concerned voice. Miriam, how have you been lately? When I was criticized endlessly in Joel's house, I didn't cry. When Joel looked at me with cold disdain, I didn't cry. When Alice came to provoke me at the door, I still didn't cry. But now, with just one gentle greeting from my aunt, I broke down completely. Hearing me cry, panic filled her voice. Miriam, don't be afraid. I'm coming to you right now. Afraid she would go to Joel's house. I quickly suppressed my emotions. Aunt, I've moved out of that house. After giving her my apartment address, I lay face down on the bed, burying my face in the quilt. Soon, there was a knock at the door. The moment I opened it, my aunt pulled me into a tight embrace. I buried my head in her arms, greedily absorbing her warmth. After I calmed down, I began telling her everything I had endured these past years. She was furious, cursing Joel and his family as heartless people. At last, she sighed. Miriam, now that you're divorced, what are your plans? I shook my head, feeling lost. Leaving felt right, but I hadn't thought about what came next. Miriam, don't blame your aunt for nagging. You're 30 this year. You need to make plans. You can't stay alone forever. I nodded. Aunt, I've thought about it. If I look for someone again, I'll choose someone steady and reliable. I won't throw myself into some illusory love ever again. Her eyes lit up instantly. You know what? I actually have someone suitable. There's a battalion commander under your uncle, steady, promising. Should I arrange for you two to meet? I nodded vaguely. I really wasn't in the mood. But I never expected her efficiency to be so terrifying. The very next day, she brought him to my apartment. After entering, she made an excuse and left. Only the man and I remained. I lowered my head shyly, unsure what to say. When he didn't speak for a long time, I secretly glanced at him from the corner of my eye. You? The moment I saw his face clearly, I exclaimed. The man looked at me mischievously, his curved eyes like a cunning fox. This was the honest man my aunt mentioned? If he was honest, then no one in the world was. Sam, the notorious troublemaker of the capital. We had been classmates since childhood, until high school graduation, when he entered military academy and we parted ways. Counting it now, it had been 10 years. Sam? How could it be you? Why can't it be me? Looking at his provocative gaze, I gathered my courage and said what was on my mind. You, the little hooligan who lifted girls' skirts in elementary school, how are you still unmarried? Sam smiled bitterly and shook his head. I've been in the military all these years. When would I have time to meet girls? Besides, there's someone living in my heart. If I haven't cleared that space, how could I accept someone else? I nodded approvingly. Sam, I admire that about you. But thinking about my situation, I felt dejected. My aunt probably told you everything. We're not suitable. Sam didn't respond. He simply opened his backpack, property deeds, share certificates his family had given him, shop lease contracts. He laid everything out across the coffee table. Miriam, I'm serious. This is everything I own. I'm handing it to you for safekeeping. Is that okay? Looking at Sam standing tall and straight, my heart betrayed me and began racing again. The dry well inside me felt as if spring water had begun flowing once more. It must have been his sincerity that moved me, definitely not his handsome face or his dizzying assets. I kept reminding myself. Sam stared at me, waiting for my answer. Under his gaze, my heart panicked. Somehow, I found myself nodding. Sam broke into a wide grin. So you agree to keep my assets safe? That means you're mine. Before I could reply, he pulled me into his arms. I struggled in his embrace. What about the person living in your heart? Sam rolled his eyes at me and pulled out another document, a marriage application. I didn't expect him to have even prepared that. Isn't this too sudden? I said shyly. Stop drooling and sign already. I quickly wiped my mouth and signed my name. This was ridiculous. I had only wanted to live peacefully for a while. Instead, I wasn't given any time at all. I even had the absurd illusion that I was too popular. Sam had made it obvious, no matter how slow I was. I understood. The person living in his heart was me. Oh dear, so I was someone's white moonlight after all. That night, Sam stayed over. Although it felt fast, I reminded myself I wasn't some untouched girl anymore. If I had decided to be with him, there was nothing wrong with that. But Sam didn't enter my room at all. I felt moved. He respected me. And yet, why was there a faint sense of disappointment? Even though Joel and I hadn't been intimate for 2 years, I was not that desperate. Chapter 5. The next morning, I woke from a dream. The first thing I saw was Sam sitting by the dining table, smiling at me. I hurriedly covered my chest. I had forgotten there was a man in the house and had worn a low-cut nightgown. But then I thought, what was there to be afraid of? I already belonged to him. After washing up, I sat down at the table and ate breakfast. It was the first time I had ever been taken care of like this. My heart felt sweet. Joel had never cooked for me, not even during the year we loved each other most. Whenever I was sick and begged him to pour me a glass of water, he would always look impatient. Back then, I thought all men were like that. Now I understood it was the difference between love and indifference. After breakfast, we went to my aunt's house. First, to tell her about our decision to get married. Second, to thank her for playing matchmaker. My aunt looked at Sam and me with a beaming smile, nodding repeatedly. Good, very good. My uncle patted Sam on the shoulder and told him to take good care of me. Sam gave him a crisp military salute. I guaranteed to complete the mission assigned by my leader. That fool. Next came the wedding preparations. My aunt helped me with everything. Sam was no help. The day after we set the wedding date, he returned to the army. When I saw him off, his eyes were filled with love, so intense they nearly burned through my composure. After he left, everything proceeded in an orderly way. I counted the days. It had been exactly 1 month since Joel and I signed the divorce papers. I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau. The moment I received the divorce certificate, my heart finally felt at ease. Holding the certificate, I made one last trip to Joel's villa. He hadn't returned yet. He was probably still coaxing his little canary in the misty water towns of the south. But none of that had anything to do with me anymore. I handed the divorce certificate to the butler, Mario. He held it with a complicated expression. There was reluctance, anxiety, regret in his eyes. I didn't say anything. I simply turned and left. Now that my heart belonged to someone else, everything here was irrelevant. When I returned home, I told Sam the news. He was overjoyed and told me to wait and not go anywhere. I didn't understand what he meant. The next morning at dawn, he appeared at my door. He had traveled through the night and looked exhausted. My heart ached for him. He took my hand and brought me straight to the Civil Affairs Bureau. On the way, he told me the army had already approved his marriage application. He had been waiting only for my divorce certificate. Seeing how impatient he was made me want to laugh and feel tender at the same time. When the clerk processed our marriage registration, he glanced at me oddly. He had been the same clerk who handled my divorce the day before. I smiled but offered no explanation. After we received our marriage certificate, Sam accompanied me home. I asked him to stay. He was already my husband. That night, as I was still savoring the long-lost passion, Sam wrapped his arms around me from behind. I murmured softly, "Sam, I hope I'll always have a place in your heart. Is that too much to ask?" He pressed his lips to my ear. "Silly, my heart has long been filled with you. You are the one living there." Though I had suspected it, hearing him confirm it made me unbelievably happy. I turned to face him. His gaze was open and sincere. "In school, you always bullied me, pulling my ponytail, lifting my skirt. Don't tell me that was your way of saying you liked me?" Sam grinned slyly. "I was too young. I wanted your attention but didn't know how to express it. That was the only way I knew." Seeing his smug expression, I scolded him, half laughing, "Pervert." Then I turned my back to him, not daring to meet his eyes. His gaze was too honest. It made my heart race. I leaned back into his arms, pressing closer. Being held tightly by him felt like the greatest happiness in the world. Chapter 6. Early the next morning, after making me breakfast, Sam prepared to return to the army. When I walked him to his car, my eyes were full of reluctance. He had traveled over 1,000 kilometers back and forth just to get a marriage certificate. Before leaving, Sam told me to stay home obediently and wait for him. He promised he would return early before the wedding and marry me properly and proudly. I nodded. He gave me a sense of security I had never known before. If he said it, I believed it. With time on my hands, I reviewed the shop Sam had given me and met the tenants. After all, I was now the boss's wife. I had to take some responsibility for our business. In the quiet days of waiting for Sam to come home, I hardly thought about Joel at all, until the day before the wedding, when Sam came home with the invitations, and I saw that name again. "What does this mean? You still want to invite him to our wedding?" Sam smiled wickedly. "Why not?" I had no idea what he was planning, but since he had decided, I let it be. At the wedding venue, Joel sat at a table, looking somewhat tense. He had only returned to the capital yesterday. When the butler handed him the divorce certificate and the wedding invitation together, he had been momentarily dazed. The moment Alice saw the divorce certificate, a flash of sharp light passed through her eyes. Then she immediately put on a pitiful act. "Forget it, Joel. I won't move in. It's my fault for being immature and making sister angry." Joel, who always doted on her, didn't comfort her this time. He merely said lightly to the butler, "Alice is right. It's not appropriate for her to move in. Send her back to her apartment first." Alice stared at him in disbelief, but Joel didn't look at her. He was staring blankly at the empty backyard. Even now, he couldn't believe I had divorced him. Even more, he couldn't believe that Sam's bride was me. This morning, Joel had finally regained his composure. "I may have gone a bit too far bullying Miriam these past few years. Fine. After attending the wedding today, I'll apologize to her and remarry her." Even at this moment, he firmly believed that Sam's bride merely shared my name. The wedding march began. My uncle, dressed in full military uniform, held my arm as we walked out. When he placed my hand into Sam's, Sam and I locked eyes, unable to see anyone else. An untimely shout shattered the happiness. "Miriam, how dare you? How dare you marry someone else?" The warm atmosphere broke instantly. My aunt and uncle looked displeased. Sam stepped protectively in front of me. But this time, I didn't retreat. I stepped around Sam and stood at the front, meeting Joel's gaze below the stage. "You're asking how I dare? Fine, I'll tell you exactly how I dare." Chapter 7. Joel was furious, as if he had suffered some tremendous injustice and betrayal. "Joel, in the 4 years I was married to you, I loved you and was faithful to you. I never did anything improper. I fulfilled every duty a wife should fulfill. But what about you?" Joel narrowed his eyes, his tone laced with threat. "Miriam, do you think marrying Sam gives you the right to challenge me?" Before Sam could speak, my uncle stepped up beside me. "Joel, your family certainly carries itself with great arrogance." Joel knew my uncle, but he had assumed my uncle was escorting me at Sam's invitation. After all, I had no parents. "Sir, this is a matter between husband and wife. You don't have the right to interfere. Miriam is my niece. Why wouldn't I have the right?" Joel's eyes widened. The confidence and superiority he had moments ago vanished instantly. He looked at me in disbelief. Miriam, why did you never tell me he was your elder? I gave a bitter smile and shook my head. Would you have cared? Didn't you always think I was an orphan who had to depend on you to survive? Sam's parents walked over and stood beside me. Joel, do you think the capital belongs to your family alone? You dare cause trouble at my son's wedding? Joel lowered his head, lost in thought. I was somewhat surprised by Sam's parents' attitude toward me. After all, this was Sam's first marriage, and I was divorced. I had always feared they might not accept me, but my mother-in-law held my hand firmly, giving me her unwavering support. It was true that Joel's family had once been among the top families in the capital, but after his grandfather passed away, their influence had declined. Meanwhile, Sam's family was thriving. His eldest brother was in politics, his second brother in business, and Sam himself was progressing well in the military. Anyone with eyes could see which family now stood higher. Alice stood beside Joel, seeing him silent. She clung to his arm. What are you so proud of? Brother Joel dumped you because you were boring. That might have been a fine provocation in private, but saying it here was a fatal mistake. In the past, I had been too lazy to argue with her, but now, I didn't even give Joel face. Who did she think she was? If you choose to be the other woman, at least have the self-awareness of one. You're nothing but my ex-husband's plaything. What gives you the right to speak here? Alice's face flushed red. She shook Joel's arm stubbornly. Joel, she called me a plaything. Aren't you going to stand up for me? Joel impatiently shook her off. If you're not a plaything, what are you? Who gave you permission to speak here? Get out. Alice was pushed to the ground, sitting there awkwardly, but Joel didn't even glance at her. Miriam, I was wrong before. I shouldn't have kept testing your feelings. Can you forgive me this once? Joel lowered his head to me. Whether it was my uncle's authority or the pressure from Sam's family that forced him to bend didn't matter anymore. Joel, do you deserve my forgiveness? If you hadn't stood up today and disrupted my husband's and my wedding, I could have pretended not to see you. We could have gone our separate ways peacefully. But you insisted on humiliating yourself on the happiest day of my life. So don't blame me for speaking harshly. A selfish, insecure loser like you, do you deserve my forgiveness? Joel stared at me, his eyes full of unwillingness. Miriam, I don't believe you've stopped loving me. If you say right now that you don't love me anymore, I'll turn around and leave. Joel, the moment I decided to leave that house, I stopped loving you. I wasn't lying. When I chose divorce, I felt no heartbreak. After disappointment accumulates enough, leaving no longer carries pain or reluctance. Joel saw the determination in my eyes and turned away. Sam, who had remained silent until now, spoke calmly. Aren't you going to toast my wife and me before you leave? Don't you have even basic manners? Joel wanted to explode, but he looked at my uncle, at Sam's parents, and at Sam, whose expression had grown steadily colder. Humiliated, he picked up a glass of wine. Wishing you a long and happy marriage. He drained it in one gulp, threw down the glass, and walked away. Chapter 8. After Joel left, the wedding proceeded smoothly. Sam kept sneaking glances at me, a measuring look in his eyes. It wasn't until that night, after all the guests had gone, that we returned to our bridal room to rest. I found a comfortable position and leaned against Sam's chest. He spoke cautiously, testing the waters. Miriam, do you really not love Joel anymore? I instantly bristled and jumped out of his arms. Sam, what do you mean by that? Do you think I'm the kind of person who can't make up her mind? My reaction startled him. No, that's not what I meant. I just meant, if you haven't fully let go yet. I can wait. I can wait for you to let go slowly. That only made me angrier. I got off the bed and sat down on the sofa by myself, refusing to look at him. Sam stood beside me awkwardly, at a loss for words. Seeing him so flustered, I sighed inwardly. After all, he had never been in a relationship before. I couldn't entirely blame him. I pulled him down to sit beside me and looked at him seriously. Sam, I married you because I like you, because I love you. I would never accept your love if my heart still held someone else. As long as you don't betray me, I will never betray you. Sam lifted me back onto the bed and held me tightly in his arms. For the next half-month, Sam practically stuck to me all day long. He said his 15 days of marriage leave would be spent entirely by my side. I cherished those days, reading together, watching shows together, doing housework together. When two people are in love, how could they not want to be together every moment? Joel once said I was too clingy, that I suffocated him. The truth was simply that he didn't love me. The day Sam returned to the army, the whole family came to see him off. He told me to do whatever I wanted at home and not feel restrained. I glanced at my mother-in-law and smiled knowingly. She treats me very well. I'm an orphan, and she cares for me as if I were her own daughter. She says she has 3 sons but no daughters. And now that I've joined the family, her wish has finally come true. After Sam left, my days became peaceful. During the day, I would check on the shops, then go to my mother-in-law's house to cook with her. At night, I would go home and wait for Sam's call. We could talk for 3 or 4 hours a day without feeling tired of it. We reminisced about school days. We talked about our senior year, when he once asked me which university I planned to apply to. I refused to tell him back then, and Sam had felt wronged. Miriam, if you'd told me where you were applying, we could have gone to the same university. Maybe I would have won you over earlier, and we wouldn't have wasted so many years. Hearing his complaint, I smiled. You were such a delinquent back then. It's a good thing you didn't chase me, or you would have scared me to death. Day after day passed. Happiness felt almost unreal. If Alice hadn't come looking for me, I might have completely forgotten that someone named Joel ever existed. Chapter 9. In front of me stood a woman with disheveled hair and a haggard face. I almost didn't recognize her. Alice used to look as delicate as a porcelain doll. Miriam, I'm begging you, please go see Joel. I rolled my eyes helplessly. Why would I go see him? Why ruin my peaceful life and upset myself? Not wanting to deal with this lunatic couple, I tried to leave, but Alice clung to my leg and wouldn't let go. She said that if I went this one time, she would never bother me again. With no other choice, I texted Sam to let him know, then followed Alice to the hospital. When I saw Joel again, I was startled. Ex-husband, do you have a terminal illness? Since when? Alice gave me a helpless look. No, ever since he came back from your wedding. Joel hasn't eaten. His parents had to force him into the hospital. Damn it, how did I never realize before that Joel could pull the whole crying, tantrum, and self-harm routine? When they saw me, Joel's parents' expressions darkened. Why are you here? It's all your fault. You jinx. You weren't satisfied with cursing your own parents to death, now you're cursing my son. They had always disliked me. When Grandpa insisted Joel marry me, they had strongly opposed it. Before I could speak, Joel roared at them to get out of the room. After his parents left, Joel looked at me, eyes filled with pleading. Miriam, can you come back to me? I'll do anything you want. I frowned, suddenly unable to understand why I had ever loved him. Are you a child? Joel froze. Are you trying to starve yourself so I'll change my mind? I've never been good at comforting people. I'll tell you the truth, right now. Even if you died in front of me, I would just watch coldly. Stop this nonsense. It's useless. To me, you're already a stranger. Tell me, who worries about whether a stranger lives or dies? Joel's face drained of color. Alice stared at me in disbelief. How can you be so vicious? You were husband and wife once. How can you curse Joel like that? I finally lost my patience and snapped at her. He's such an idiot that even trying to win back his ex-wife. He needs his mistress to help him. What's wrong with me wishing him dead? If it weren't illegal, I'd want to finish him myself. Can you two trashy people stay away from me and stop disturbing my life? I was in the middle of venting when Joel's parents pushed the door open and came back in. What are you so proud of? Miriam, weren't you just Joel's simp back then? I straightened my back. That was before. This is now, believe it or not. If I just softened a little, your precious Joel would kneel in front of me and bark like a dog. Joel's mother raised her hand. Believe it or not, I'll slap you to death. Before she could finish, several people rushed into the room and stood in front of me. One woman grabbed Joel's mother by the hair. Another swung her arm and slapped her across the face. I was stunned. After rubbing my eyes, I realized the one pulling her hair was my aunt, and the one slapping her was my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law slapped while shouting, "You dare raise your hand at my daughter-in-law? Who gave you the nerve?" Sam stepped in front of me protectively. shooting me a reproachful look. I felt a little guilty, after all. I had been caught meeting my ex-husband. I told you in a message. Did I agree? The fight was still going on over there, but Sam had already started lecturing me. He scolded me until I couldn't even lift my head. Finally, I had no choice. I stood on my toes and kissed him. That trick works every time. If I upset him after marriage and he keeps nagging, I just kiss him, instant silence. But this time, I forgot about the setting. Just as Sam and I were getting lost in the kiss, a beast-like roar made me jump back. Seeing Joel clutching his chest, his face twisted in pain, I scratched my head awkwardly. Public displays of affection are one thing, killing him with dog food right in front of him was a bit unethical. My aunt and mother-in-law also stopped, both looking at me with teasing smiles. So embarrassing. I punched Sam lightly. He smiled at me, then walked over to the hospital bed. Joel, stop acting like a drama queen and hurting yourself to win my wife's sympathy. This is just a warning. Next time, don't blame me for being ruthless. I nodded and linked arms with Sam. That's right. I'm in a military marriage now. If he dares to harass me again, I'll sue him for interfering in a military marriage and send him to jail. Joel pulled the blanket over his head. Sam stared at me in shock. Chapter 10. After leaving the hospital, Sam and I chatted as we walked. That's when I found out why they had shown up so quickly. It turned out that as soon as Sam received my message, he panicked. Afraid something might have happened to me, he immediately called his mom and started driving back. By coincidence, his mom was playing mahjong with my aunt at the time. The moment she heard what was going on, she rushed to the hospital, and Sam just happened to be training in a nearby city. He had originally planned to come back that night to surprise me, so the three of them arrived at almost the same time. Wife, you're ruthless. Saying you'd send him to jail, that's killing him without drawing blood. I flipped my hair smugly. So what? He shouldn't have disturbed me and tried to ruin my happy married life. The truth is, after I stopped loving him, Joel really stopped mattering to me. Back then, I treated him as my whole world. I always wanted to give him the very best. Now that I don't love him anymore, whether he lives or dies has nothing to do with me. When I told Sam what I was thinking, he just chuckled twice. I reached out and patted his shoulder. Husband, you'd better behave. If one day you pull a Joel, keep a little canary on the side and mistreat me, then haha. Sam tightened his grip on my hand. Don't worry, I can't even love you enough as it is. I waited so many years for this. Now that I finally have you, I'd never let you go. His words made my whole body feel warm. Hurry home. Husband, I'm ovulating today.